Two people can play checkers and neither has to have a strategy. They can just kind of move their pieces until they get tired of playing. Not so much in chess. You have to think ahead and still be able to adapt to your competition while taking advantage of every opportunity. With the race card, you are given checker pieces. The conversation goes nowhere and everything around you continues to burn. In full Negro dialect, we play chess. And the best thing to do in chess is to watch your opponent play someone else. Well, there was Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. And in 1966, they wrote an article entitled "The Weight of the Poor, A Strategy to End Poverty." Maybe I should tell you that Francis Fox Piven got all riled up at the sight of us burning down our own buildings in the Chicago race riots after she wrote this little article. She really got enamored with the sight of us destroying ourselves. You can read it for yourself, but I'm going to paraphrase. Now, remember, this is 1966, when most blacks were self-sufficient, homeowners in stable marriages, and we were fighting for equality, not food stamps. See, their plan was to get so many people on welfare that it would overload the state systems, forcing the federal government to declare a public end to poverty. 10 years later, Lyndon Johnson comes along with the Great Society. Did I forget to mention that Cloward and Piven specifically chose the Democratic Party for this plan? Oh well, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But basically, it was the war on poverty. This is an "I'm just saying" moment. What happens to you if you are dependent on the system when it overloads? Do you think you'll still get your food stamps or your check? Have they ever warned you of the consequences, say like when we run up against a debt ceiling and cuts have to be made? Think about the cities with the most riots and ask why. What do all of three of these cities have in common? This is the introduction to the progressive liberal states. Remember, to them, a rose isn't a rose. First up, we have New York City, the former home base for the black civil rights activists. Now, in 1975, New York City went bankrupt because the public welfare system was overloaded. They thought that they would get a bailout, but they were wrong. Chicago, Illinois, the home of community organizing. Illinois, crime rate up, unemployment rate up, foreclosure rate up. How is that community organizing working out for you? But Illinois is on the verge of bankruptcy because of public welfare and public workers unions. Is that a good or a bad investment? But let's focus on LA, because you know Van Jones is out there doing his thing with the Ella Baker Fund. So let's see what we're doing in Cali. California is a progressive state. It was all good too when the Silicon Valley was booming and Hollywood was in full swing. The poor were herded into beautiful public housing. Sanctuary cities popped up and so did the crime. And they took over the school system and convinced the youth to expect the government to take care of them. But as the crime rate skyrocketed, so did the penalties of said crimes. But they blamed gangster rap. It's NWA's fault. It's Pac's fault. It's Snoop's fault. See, it had nothing to do with convincing the children that government would take care of them, only to find out it meant being trapped like a rat. It had nothing to do with the high tax rates that drove companies out of California and made finding a job nearly impossible. It wasn't the state's government policies towards crime. No, it wasn't any of that. It was hip-hop. This is a get real moment. This is not meant to excuse or endorse crime, but you can't stop crime until you discover its main cause, and I know damn well it isn't hip-hop. Now, back to clarity. As they say, the world is a stage and every player has his part. So, as they create the welfare sanctuary system, they create criminals. And then they come out with things like California's 3-strike law. Now they have a state budget deficit that they can't pay, and prisons are full of criminals that are created by their welfare sanctuary system. To fix the problem, they let out the criminals they created and then honed in the prison system back onto the streets of the progressive state. Here's the real moment of clarity. On the checkerboard, it's the man is out to get us. They don't want a nigga having shit. On the chessboard, by accepting welfare or riding through the trap, you are doing the work for the man. They may not want you to have anything, but you guarantee that their wish comes true. As you vote for more assistance, you vote for more laws. And while you love what you get for free, you don't connect it to the real price you have to pay. Like in California, where stealing a bike can get you life in prison. It's not the black and white, rich and poor issue of a checkerboard. It's the plotting and planning done on the chessboard that we need to pay attention to. The progressive planners that hang a carrot out in front of you, they yank it back as you dive off a cliff. The sick, twisted pleasure they get seeing us burn down our own black businesses, line up for abortion clinics, and quit school to hang out on the corner. And then they say it's not our fault. We are victims of the system. Why, yes. Yes, we are. And they know we are because it's their system. They say that they're looking out for us and our best interest, but Miss Millie says she always looked out for the colored too. And if you think that because you don't live in a progressive state, this doesn't apply to you, then look at your local government. Because as they say, all politics are local. If you are in a minority community, I bet liberal progressive city councils and mayors run your offices. I bet there are extra restrictions on guns, the city takes care of the teachers while the students fail and drop out, and incarceration and crime levels are high. This is not the man destroying your community. It's a direct reflection of the leadership you vote into place. All they have to do is offer you a carrot. How many times will we fall for it?